Everyone, welcome to this special episode of SNEED-CAST. Tomorrow is actually National Packaging Design Day, so what better way to celebrate it than to bring in a couple of items that we thought had interesting packaging or that we personally like the branding of. I'm actually here with Q and Ken, so...
What's up?
Hello, everybody.
But yeah, guys, if we want to start talking about our products, I can kick it off if you guys want to.
Yeah, go ahead, Alexa.
Yeah, by all
So
means.
we all kind of over the weekend, right, gave ourselves some homework assignments. We all performed to different standards, I see, in terms of what we brought in. But we'll get into all that. We've all got some different things here to talk about, and I know Alexa, you got a couple of extra.
Oh yeah.
In case we go too fast. So I guess if you want to start off about yours there. First of all, I know you were talking about this earlier before we started. Like, can you tell me what is MPB.com? You said you bought a camera from them?
Yeah, so MPB.com is like the biggest reseller for used like camera equipment.
Okay.
So they buy used camera equipment, they sell it. You can also trade. They believe in keeping the whole process circular. And they also have a big push to keep everything as sustainable as possible. So when I ordered from them, I fully expected to see my camera like wrapped in bubble wrap.
Yeah.
You know, obviously you want to keep those types of items as safe as possible. But no, they actually believe in using 100% like plastic-free packaging. So instead of bubble wrap, we have... Not really sure. I remember.
I forget what it's called. Yeah, we've talked about this material before, that kind of like shredded paper material.
Yeah, no, but super durable. Again, I wouldn't have expected my camera to be as safe. You know, I typically see like more expensive items, you know, covered in bubble wrap or foam, but no, like it actually held up. The camera was perfectly safe. And again, we've been talking about sustainability so often now in like Industry Update or in a couple of our past like SNEED-CAST episodes. So it's interesting to see it now that I'm ordering like products, you know, such as cameras. Again, I didn't expect them to have 100% plastic-free packaging. I also hadn't looked too much into like their sustainability section. But not only is their packaging like 100% plastic-free, they're also choosing to go like the greener route in terms of their shipping handlers. So like they're choosing to go with DPD, DHL, and FedEx, who are considered like greener carriers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then I can see on the actual packaging here, like it fully has, like it's telling you to recycle it. It's telling you to do everything, and we can kind of see it here.
Yeah. No, and even the top, it says climate neutral, talks about recycling.
Yeah, they're pretty proud of that, I can tell.
Yeah, which is cool to see in the current world, you know.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of, I could have brought this in. I actually have it sitting over by my desk. You guys know that I've been using those pre-made meal kits, Factor, Tempo, and some others. And Factor and Tempo, they're actually owned by the same parent company, but they also have very, what's the right word? Intentional packaging, I guess, for sustainability's sake and for recycling purposes, which is interesting considering they ship frozen goods or rather refrigerated goods with a shelf life, you know, that have to maintain a certain temperature. Otherwise, that food, when it gets to you, is dangerous. So they have some interesting materials inside of their packaging for that not only is moisture resistant, but is also a nice thermal layer in terms of, you know, insulation and everything. So yeah, you see a lot of that now from these types of companies that are doing, you know, e-commerce type shipping and things of that nature.
Yeah, especially because we also talked to Lorax about this stuff too, and so like they are clearly trying to go with the a PR stuff, and it's cool to see it like in action. Like we talked about it within concept, but now seeing it is cool.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's the thing, right? You see a lot of you know, industry packaging companies are taking the lead. We've talked a lot ad nauseum probably about the lack of a central kind of standard for sustainability, recycling, and whatnot. And now you see a lot of these up and coming companies or even existing companies that have been around for a while that are just starting to really, you know what, they're tired of waiting too, and they're just kind of initiating some of their own stuff. But really, really cool. So do we have any other comments or thoughts on the... I like, just a real quick, this is aside from packaging, we are packaging design. So I do like their logo. Which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, if you want to show that off
it took me a second
camera.
to kind of realize what those dots were, and then I realized that that's actually
MPB.
MPB.
Yeah.
So pretty neat there. So
Yeah, very cool.
One thing we've been doing a lot of packaging design ourselves lately, Quentin, working on some of our new box designs for our printers. I think if I had to just give it one critique or one thing I could add to that box, I think would make it more, or just kind of add and enhance is throw maybe a slap a QR code on there, where or some kind of geotag initiative where folks can maybe, if they need, this looks like a box, so you can probably just recycle it pretty standard. But if there are any special, like, hey, where do I take this to recycle or whatnot or something, I don't know. Or they could even, scan to learn more stuff about everything that they're doing. But no, that's really, really neat.
Yeah, and I always like that, especially because like I've ordered like the HelloFresh stuff too, and they send their stuff in those cooler boxes that have the big ice packs. And I feel like I might have missed like directions on that because I never know exactly what to do with those. It feels
Right.
weird to pour them out in a sink or just throw them out. So it's nice, like like having that stuff is very nice for us dummies around.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I guess we'll jump into mine unless you want to do yours, Quentin. So I didn't bring a show and tell to actually like touch or show you guys. But I was reading. We get our Packaging World magazine delivered on a monthly basis. I imagine a lot of you folks out there, the Packaging World, are probably subscribers to this. If not, I recommend it. Put out by PMMI. Lots of great case studies, success stories, and stuff throughout the magazine. But I came across a really cool development inside of packaging for K-Cups. Any of you coffee addicts out there like myself are probably familiar with a Keurig. If you're a really big coffee fan, you're probably not a fan of Keurigs because the coffee isn't always that great. But that's not today's conversation. So I kind of already set the stage to you guys before we started recording. But yeah, folks out there, and you guys may or may not have been aware that the gentleman, John Sylvan, it was him and another gentleman, I should have written his name down too, that invented the Keurig K-Cup 20 some odd years ago, late 90s, so I guess basically almost 30 years ago. And was actually blown away how it took off for originally they designed it for the office environment or for the kind of office coffee consumption. And then it just took off for personal use and people using it at home. So much so that today, where did I write this down? Here you go. The number of K-Cups that have been produced and are out in the ether, I guess, so to speak. There are enough K-Cups in the world to circle the earth 10 times.
Yikes.
10 times.
And K-Cups are not very big, y'all.
No.
Like, that's a lot of K-Cups. And the unfortunate reality of those millions of K-Cups that are circling the earth, is that they're unrecyclable. They have a very unique type of plastic. Well, there's actually 4 types of plastic that are layered inside of that K-Cup that makes it nigh on impossible to recycle, which is why Mr. Sylvan has come out very publicly and stated that he regrets inventing it and abhors, or not abhors, but really pleads with people to stop using it. But I think the toothpaste is out of the tube, so to speak. I don't really think this machine is so popular and it's all over the place. So that's not. And there's a big giant corporation called Dr. Pepper behind it, so it's not going anywhere. But that being said, Keurig Dr. Pepper, and this is where all that build up to this, my show and tell, has unveiled a new plant-based compostable pod for their machines. So this is going to be. I mean, this could be, tired cliche time, a game changer if it really works. There definitely are some different considerations for it. They've been testing this for a while. They needed to come up with a material that doesn't dissolve during the brewing process and doesn't affect the flavor of the coffee. It needs to be food safe. So really a lot of different things that had to be considered as they were developing this. It looks like they partnered with a company in Switzerland that had an IP around this new material that they're going to be using for the primary packaging, the actual shell around that coffee. And I don't know, we can either edit it in later. Quentin, I'm going to kind of hold it up for this camera here, and then maybe you can kind of see what those pods look like. It's actually, man, one of the derivatives of the material is actually seaweed, which is kind of cool. I wonder how that's going to affect my coffee flavor, but Yeah, so that's just kind of my introduction to it. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts or comments or.
I guess one of my biggest questions when it comes to compostable or K cups is like for the everyday consumer, how do you then dispose of it in a more sustainably or like in a greener way?
Well, that's true. So like this should be recyclable, like within your regular recycling container inside. And again, this isn't even out to the market yet. This is
Right.
kind of a beta thing because they're still working on some other things around it. And then regarding back, that's one thing you brought up composting. So that's one thing they're looking for is they haven't gotten it certified yet, but they say it's pending that it will be backyard compostable. So you should just be able to throw these into your compost if you have a compost pile,
Okay.
like anything else that you throw in there.
It, it's interesting that their original cups were labeled as food grade safe, but they can't be like recycled anywhere, which is kind of worrying.
Well, I mean, you think about it. I
Yeah.
mean, Tupperware is food safe too.
That's
It's
true.
not, you're not chewing down
Yeah.
on it. But yeah, I thought this was really, really neat. This has always been one that I've always thought of for a long time, like these gosh darn K cups, and then that they've come out with something here. They're still working on some secondary packaging. As we talk about primary packaging, secondary packaging, that primary package for this is that film that's going to be around the cup itself. And there's some other interesting things, of course, is like they're some of the things they're working on is inks, food safe inks. That's kind of more in our realm of the world, but for obviously, as you can see in the pictures, it's got like some logo printed on there. But they're also going to need flavors and other types of things, to be able to identify on there. So that's some of the things they're researching right now is how to get that information on there in a way that doesn't that is of course safe for the consumer, and B doesn't affect the flavor of the coffee. So Keurig right now, here's an interesting. It's in 45 million homes across the U.S. and Canada. So, wow, that's a lot.
45 million homes, probably with multiple folks using them. So it's like those cup productions just go crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And then not only that's just from the private sector. You think about dentist's office, doctor's offices. I can't remember the last time I was in a doctor's or dentist's office that didn't have a Keurig in the lobby. They almost always have a Keurig in there usually. So.
I think the most. Oh.
Well, and they also have like I believe they also do like liquor now too. So like they are like in a lot of different sectors too. So it's good that they're doing this because they're producing more and more and more.
Right. Now, I think the most shocking thing that you mentioned is the fact that it's layered with 4 different types of plastic. Like when we stop and think about single-use plastics, I think that's bad enough. But to hear that there's 4 layers of it, it can't be recycled at all. I mean, yikes. I would hope that they make that push towards sustainability and compostable K cups as soon as possible.
Well, and like the way the world's going, like they have
Yeah.
to because of E or a E or a E or a E or a E. I'm a P. I'm a R. Like they have to. So it's
Right.
just like one of those things.
And I mean, now in the market, isn't it like 70% of consumers that are looking for like sustainable companies or like more
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, that
environment-friendly
is definitely
yeah.
something that, especially now I'm going to sound like the old man in the room, y'all's generation and younger.
Oh yeah.
That is, I've read that multiple times across different things, is just from a consumer based, is that not just like the sustainability, but also, social impact and all these other things are things that the younger consumers are a lot more interested in finding out about the companies that they're buying from and where their dollars are going. Absolutely. It reminds me a little bit, I was just reading about, I'm sure you guys are familiar at this point with Liquid Death.
Yeah.
I saw a thing recently. We'll see how this shakes out. A big part of their thing is they push a lot of the fact that it's canned water, and canned water is better than bottled water from a sustainability perspective, which is debatable. I'm not an expert on either, so I won't get into it. I just know that it is debatable, and there are 2 different sides to that argument. And apparently there was somebody that, I don't know if it was a journalist or somebody that had been doing some digging around Liquid Death's actual sustainability initiatives and actions, and they seem to be very lacking apparently. So we'll see kind of how that. So they built up this brand all around sustainability, and canned water is better than bottled water, and then it doesn't seem like. Well, we'll see. Again, there's just one little thing I saw, but that they may not be actually living up and being as sincere about the things that they're pledging.
Well,
Which we've had another conversation about a lack of sincerity when companies do things. So.
yeah, exactly. And like, I mean, Liquid Death is purely like a branding experiment.
100%.
You know, like they've kind of admitted it, and everyone knows it. And us as like marketing nerds, it's like fun to watch because they get to do some really cool stuff and in really fun ways. But,
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
It's not too surprising that there's some like issues with them as far as because it's just like it's hard to make that stuff good and like you know like making all that cans like that has to be hard to do in a sustainable way.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's. But I think also that's why maybe sometimes you have to be careful about the promises you make to your consumers and making sure that it's something that you can follow through on. Again, I'm just basing this off of one thing I read and whatnot, so I haven't seen any response from Liquid Death to this person or this article that I read yet. But I'm sure if it gains enough steam, we'll be seeing more about it. So especially as Liquid Death continues to grow, we see that all the time. The more successful you are, people are going to come for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Find out what you're not doing right. So.
Yeah. We can move on to what I brought. Alexa, if you will present it. It is Lee & Perrins Worcestershire sauce. We gave, or the guy with the stutter.
Worcestershire. Leave how to pronounce it in the comments, please.
Yeah, very hard to say. This is the reduced sodium version. That's not a comment on anything. That's just the one that I saw. And what's interesting about this is, and what's always struck my curiosity with it is like the paper around it. Like that's just so much waste from like a pure business perspective. Like it's kind of weird that they do that. Like I imagine that's not cheap. And it goes back to, so like Lee and Perrins brought this back here to the U.S. in 1839, I want to say. And they had to ship it from England over here. And they were on like old school ships. And they used to not do the whole paper wrap thing, but their bottles kept breaking. They would just like break and waste millions and millions in their product. And so they just started doing that. And then it became, like just kind of like synonymous with the brand. And Heinz bought them in, I want to say 2006, and they didn't change it at all. And so it's just like, it's one of those things that only happens here within the States, is that you only see it here because they were shipping here. So the brand just kind of worked that way. And it's funny that we're doing like being, like resourceful on waste, and then they are just like using extra paper for no reason, it seems. Like I get that it's branding and that's cool.
It's recognized. That's
like,
100% what it is.
But do you think it is enough that like like Worcestershire is like really good on steak and it's like a nice like seasoning, but like I'm not buying it because it looks cool with the old paper. I mean, it is like a brand standout, but I don't know if it's like necessarily worth it,
I think, so from a consumer's perspective, right? I think the reason why we don't automatically, or the alarms don't automatically go off as like, oh, it's waste, is because it's paper, and paper is what we consider to be more easily recycled.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, obviously now we have better way to ship things and to transport things. So there's really no need for the paper, but again, from a branding perspective, it's like you've been known for doing this for so long that you're just going to keep it because people that buy this product like recognize it, buy the paper. Take away the paper and they're going to be like, okay, like it might not be stocked. I'm not going to buy that brand. I might make a switch. But again, that's just from like a consumer's perspective. I wouldn't have thought it was such a waste, but now that you mentioned it, it's kind of like, yeah.
But I mean, but at the same time, it is paper, so it's a lot better than other options, but it's still interesting. Like it's still a cost to them. Like I imagine it costs more to make that sort of paper that like goes all the way around the actual.
Right.
I mean, not just the paper, Quentin. As much as we've been working with packaging machines lately, I'm just trying to picture what type, like the machinery involved, because they're somewhere along their process and their automation. They're not wrapping these by hand. They make way too many of these to wrap these by hand. So then they also have to invest in the machine, a very specific type of machine, it would appear, to actually wrap these bottles as well. So there's that cost on top of just the paper cost. My first assumption was that it's a premium product type thing. Of course, the origin story would kind of negate that, right? It's very interesting that actually that the origin story is also as a packaging thing, because
Yeah.
it's just meant to be a form of packaging protection. But now, I think now it's become synonymous with premium and similar. Like I was just looking on my HEB app. Shameless plug, HEB box. Sorry to all of you out there not in Texas. It's the
seriously.
world's greatest grocery store that you've never been to. So make sure you go to one next time you come to Texas. But no, in all seriousness, I'm looking at prices here. Store brand, 15-ounce store brand of HEB Worcestershire sauce is $1.75, and this bottle is $5. And it's only 10 ounces. So it's a third
That's
less
crazy, yeah.
for almost 3 times as much money. So, like, I think that there's a part of this now that, you got a little gold film here. It's starting, I think I think people attribute it and the brand and everything. It's starting to become like the, I don't know, here's a shoe reference for you guys. I don't know if you guys are familiar with, what's the name of the shoe brand that's famous for the red soles? You guys know what I'm talking
Louis
about?
Vuitton.
Yeah.
The Louboutins. That's right. They're famous for the red sole,
Yeah.
right? Like, does that red sole make them a premium shoe? No, but it's kind of become that part of their identity, kind of thing,
And they play on it, and like just like they are right here, like and like we can show it. It's like it says unwrap the flavor, so like they are playing on it. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, it's totally within
Yeah.
their game. And like I've seen those shoes also marketed as like get or like it's like get your like red bottoms, and like that's like a big deal. Like that's like
Oh yeah,
like that's almost like a status symbol in some ways. Is like, oh, like you got the red bottoms, so you're big.
yeah. No, absolutely. I remember my ex-wife in particular was very fond of it. Like every time she saw one, she's like, "You see those shoes over there?" I don't know. I just wear my Asics, so I'm good.
I think it's funny when something as simple as like a shipping solution then becomes marketing branding. Whenever like I feel like in our work, like we realize like marketing shipping stuff it can be a challenge in making it fun, and it's funny whenever things just fall in place and it becomes its own brand.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think that's perfect. I see this on LinkedIn a lot. I see this inside of packaging a lot. Like, market your package is it is not only an opportunity, but it is an exercise in branding and marketing as well. So, like, yes, packaging is meant to be a way to offer protection for the product and get it from your production floor through the supply chain to the end user. But also there is that opportunity through that is how you pack it, like the MPP example, whatever it may be, that you have branding opportunities within those, and how you capitalize on those. Of course, that's each different company and product's prerogative.
I think another thing that just came to mind, and this is just because we work within the field of like coding and marking, but wouldn't you be spending like twice the amount on ink? Like, aren't you just printing the information like twice?
Well, that's true, right? Because they are
Yeah.
buying, like, if we open this up,
No, yeah, open it up. Like
all
it's-
of this
it's not.
so they're buying this piece of paper right here,
Right.
pre-printed so there's the cost of the paper, and then, let's see here, and then you got it is very duplicative.
Okay.
Absolutely. And not only that, they got a date code on that piece of paper, and then they got a nice pigmented blue ink date code right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is Worcestershire sauce anyways? Distilled white vinegar, molasses, tannin. Oh.
I like how all of us went for like sustainability, and then it's like, okay, like not sustainable. There's like paper wrapping on the outside and then plastic on the top.
It's
You're printing the information twice.
but they do have a QR code, so that's pretty nice.
Do we? I don't know how much time we have left. Quentin, do we have? I know Alexa, of course, ever the overachiever.
Yes.
Has brought some other ones in. Do we want to chat about one or two more? Or?
Alexa, if you want to show off one more, then go for it.
Okay. And this one's purely just like, I love the design. I feel like they always nail their branding. I feel like it's always fun. Funko Pops.
Good old Funko Pops.
Oh yeah. So in terms of branding, or in terms of like their design, I feel like they always nail it. Like, they're always something, how would I say it? I feel like they catch your attention really quickly, especially in a day and age where it's like you have such a short attention span. I know whenever I go into the store, like, there are times where I might just go in for like like an item or two, and all of a sudden I come across like Pop Funkos, and I'm like, okay, like let me make some time to sift across some. Let me see if I can find one that I personally like. And again, I feel like everyone collects them. I feel like it's not just for like one age range, like spans across. They choose so many shows, movies that it's kind of just relevant for everyone.
I agree 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
Funko has done that's. I think that's their licensing game is probably one of the best in the business
Yeah.
in terms of going out. Like that's how they've acquired such a wide audience base. Like you said, it seems like everybody collects them.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily maybe you got. You got John, who's a big basketball head or sneakerhead, and he
Yeah.
wants to collect his favorite. And he's collecting his favorite basketball players, but he doesn't, he doesn't care about Game of Thrones or something else like that. Or then you got, you got TV shows, Seinfeld, The Office. So they've done a really really good job of on that side of things. Is just because at the end of the day, well, they kind of rely on it, right? Because they don't have characters to make dolls out of.
Yeah.
They don't really have the product.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
It's also interesting in the way that like their packaging is almost made not to be open, like because like as I can tell, like a big deal with these is that you don't open them. Like it's like you find a rare one and like this one's not open, and so like it's an interesting challenge as far as package design goes, is that you have to make something that someone wants to put on their shelf in that
Yeah.
package. Like that's tough. And like you can see how it's like it's clear plastic, so like they're trying to show off that a lot, but then they also have their own nice branding like on there.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my you guys know, my sister-in-law used to work at Funko, and she was pretty heavily involved on their design side of things. But it was more. I don't think she was as much involved in the packaging side, but I know she had a lot to do with their promotions and some of like their digital media advertising things. So she would do a lot of like staging of Funko or Pops, as they call them, I guess, inside of like different. They would create like dioramas or like action sequences, or sometimes she would do them digitally too, making it create this action or create a story around the doll, and I think that's the same mindset that they use for these boxes and the way they're designed. Like you said, I think you hit the nail right on the head, Quentin. They very intentionally make these boxes so that you're happy to put them on your shelf, as opposed, you got kids like mine who will just rip open the box and take it out and whatnot. But yeah, a lot of people just have them perfectly, sitting in the box on their shelves.
Yeah, and like they're easily stackable. Like it's really well thought out from that perspective.
Now that being said, Alexa, this box is not exactly mint condition. It looks
Yeah,
like
it's a little
somebody
beat up.
Yeah,
opened
no,
it
it's,
and then tried to close it again without anybody finding out.
It's definitely seen better days. I got this back when I was like in high school, so I definitely opened it at some point. I opened it. I 100% like wanted to be able to hold it and everything, but then I was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. Just closed it back, and then obviously like I moved recently, so
Yep.
it's kind of in a moving box for a while. So it took some hits. It's seen better days.
I have I have one at home that's not safe for work. It's Justin Timberlake and Andy Samberg, something in a box from SNL. And I'll just leave it at that.
And that's funny because they can do that, which is like that's not like a child
Yeah.
thing, but then they do like other
Yeah.
like small shows too. So it's just funny, like the way their brand is like can hit any sort of like IP is really
Yeah.
impressive.
Well, the irony is, I just thought of this. You think about like a marketing agency, or you see these memes. Is all right. So who's your target audience? Everybody from the age of 18 to 65, male and female. And it's like, you gotta be. But literally, that's almost like with the wide range of licenses they have. They do have a wide range of customers like that, which is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, no, I think another thing from a marketing perspective that they do really well is they stay so on top of trends. Like a new show can come up, and then all of a sudden you'll see like, oh, okay, like the latest Funkos. Another thing I think that they do phenomenally is knowing when to make something like limited, because then consumers just go off the wall trying to find them,
Right.
and then it drives up prices, and then you get into reselling and how much they're actually willing. to pay for like a Pop Funko. So it's always interesting. Like you see some that maybe go for under $10 to some that go for like a couple hundred, couple thousand, just depending on like the series that you're buying or how limited it is. So again, from a marketing perspective, it's interesting.
I definitely think I'm gonna talk to Brian and see if we can do like some licensing and make some Marvel Universe handheld printers.
Your Spidey.
Yeah, have like a Spidey version. We'll have an Iron Man version.
Exclusive inks,
Yeah,
all that stuff.
100%, yeah.
Oh, it could have sound effects. So like every time it prints, it could, like, yeah. That'd be kind of cool.
Yes. All right. No, it's a fun one. Do we have any other last comments or anything?
I guess the only thing that I can say is that like those also like they haven't like the bubble hasn't popped on those in the way they did on like Beanie Babies and like Cabbage Patch Kids. Like those are here to stay. So that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Well, I think we kind of hit on a couple different topics here, huh? Or not one topic in general, but a couple different packages. Mostly a little bit around sustainability. And then we had some other good chats here. Alexa, you want to take us out? I don't know that we have anything else to touch on here.
Of course. Well, everyone, thanks for joining us for this special episode of SNEED-CAST. And make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell down below. Also, SNEED-CAST is now available to stream on all of your favorite streaming platforms. So make sure to do that. And we will see you guys on the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Ciao.